Salutations, YouTube family. How's everybody doing out there? This is M.V.K coming to you again with Opinion Spot Q&A, and wrote all my questions down in my trusty handy notebook here, and I'm here to deliver. Hope everybody is well on their end. And other than that, guys, I wanted to apologize for not bringing the original Opinion Spot Friday or Saturday like I usually do. There was an emergency with one of the kids that I work with. He had gotten into a bad accident, and he requested me by his side, so I rushed everything to get by his side just to make sure he was okay. His parents also called me as well, so duty calls. But other than that, guys, let's get to the questions, shall we? Got a few questions here, good ones as always. Nobody gives me stupid questions. But let's get off to the one that I think everybody wants to know my feelings on as well. And this comes from, of course, Mr. X-Men. And Mr. X-Men is a viewer of mine. He always watches my stuff. He always sends me personal messages. And if you guess the name, you can tell he's a huge X-Men fan. And the question everybody wants to know is, how do I feel? Basically, it says, how do you feel, kid, about Kurt dying, bro? We lost a good soldier this past April. I hear a lot of people saying, when they brought back Colossus, it was like I was done with that, so I could care less about what happens to Kurt. Kurt died, guys, protecting Hope Summers. Bastion, as you can see right here, Bastion is the one that killed him. He and Rogue were battling this guy, and Bastion was gonna go in for the kill for Hope, and Kurt teleported, but Bastion basically detected him activating his mutant powers, and basically he knew exactly where Kurt was gonna put, and that's what we see. Kurt died a hero, and as much as people want to say, oh, this was a bad, this was, I could care less about that. You know what? That's your opinion about it. I'm not gonna question that. But the way I look at it is, this hurts. This hurts the X-Men a lot, because first and foremost, Kurt was beloved. Nightcrawler is a beloved character. I don't think there's too many people that I know that don't say, oh, fuck Kurt, screw Nightcrawler. I can care less about. All he can do is teleport. What's so good about that? Wrong. Kurt was not only a teleporter, he was good with swords, fencing. This guy had Olympic class fencing skills. So you trying to go in a sword fight with this cat, the odds of you coming out the victor is nada. He was a holy man, yes. And you know what the last thing Kurt did? He asked God for one last port, and he teleported Hope back to Utopian. And his last words to Hope, his last words to Hope was basically, I believe in you. Basically saying that he believes in what Hope is capable of doing. Now Bastion even said it himself, like he knows what Hope is going to do in the near future. Now we don't know if that's a good thing or is it a bad thing, but I think somebody else said it like this: with all the deaths that happened in Blackest Night, we couldn't really react to those deaths. You know what I'm saying? Somebody died, oh man, you flip the page, another person died. You flip it again, another person died, and you're like, okay, man, I can't. Let me get over this guy's death first, such and such death, and then let me go on. With this death, it was like, what? You know, but you know, it was inevitable. I knew once they had that poster of one of these X-Men is gonna die to save the world. One of these X-Men is gonna die. It was either me. I said it right off the back. I said it's gonna be Kurt, or Cable. And next thing you know, I get a call from Hope. No offense. I get a call from Hope, and she said, well, you called it, babe. And I was like, yeah, I called it. I wish it didn't happen, but it did. But he went out like a hero. And that's the one thing that I will respect the most about it. I shed a tear, guys. To be told that, I shed a tear for when that happened, because you know, with Kurt being a teleporter, and being that he was basically in some ways the original teleporter of the X-Men, but then you know all the other teleporters like Blink and people like that can port farther than him and things like that. It was like Oaks. Even some point he was even questioning himself. Should I stay on the X-Men when you guys got other porters that are better than me? You know, Blink, for example, she can teleport to the moon and back. Kurt can't teleport no more than about 2 miles, I believe. You know, but Kurt is one of a kind. That's the problem. He was the trickster of the group. He always loved to play practical jokes, make people laugh. You know, even though he looked like a demon, you know, he always did that. And to see Kurt die, and let me rephrase that. He's died before, yes. Do your research. He's died in Uncanny X-Men, the annual number 4, and he died in Excalibur number 17. But those were deaths that were a little bit differently. This death, right through the heart, people. You can see it right here, man. Now, if they bring him back, there's no planning when they'll bring him back. I don't think they'll bring him back anytime soon, you know. But for people to just come out and say, you know, I could care less about that. You know, if such and such dies, okay, I'm going to be worrying about it. I can't agree with that, guys. I really can't. So, but all in all, Mr. X-Men, yeah, I'm deeply hurt. But I knew it was going to be, it was going through my head. April such and such is coming up. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Next you know. Once, and other than that, just looking at Bastion, when they see him, it was like, oh, somebody's gonna die here. Just the way his look, just the look of this villain. There was even question like, is Rogue gonna die? Maybe Marvel was throwing us a curveball and saying, just giving us those people. But you know what? A lot of people was like, oh, I thought it was gonna be Emma. And you know what? I would have taken Emma, because I can care less about Emma. I can care less about her, you know, but, you know, Kurt died. It hurts. But, I can move on. I'm going to move on, but, you know, still, I've read that story about 6 times already. And the more I try to analyze it, maybe this, or maybe that, or maybe this, or maybe that, you know, it is, you know, and, you know, it hurts. So, you know, it's tragic, yes, it's tragic. But, I'll move on. And I hope that my fellow Nightcrawler fans out there can move on as well, and just remember that Kurt died a hero. He will be missed. And other than that, let me put one more emphasis. This is gonna hurt more when this is all over. The two people more than ever, two X-Men more than ever, this is really gonna hurt, is Peter and Logan. Those three, Colossus and Wolverine and Kurt, were like the Three Musketeers. They were like so close. This is gonna hurt so much for them, and I want them to really broadcast that after Second Coming. But yeah, Mr. X-Men, yeah, that's how I feel about Kurt's death. And I'm sorry if you would like I took up 10 minutes just for one question, but this was a question I wanted to get right out of the way and move on.